Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Anjaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Oh, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So, can you see me? Okay. It's okay? Everything all right? All right. So, on this 19th day of September, I think.
Yeah.
19th day of September, on a Zoom call to ISKCON Silicon Valley, and I'm in San Diego. We're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, translation commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're going to be reading from Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 100. This is within the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami. And he's teaching now about the practice of devotional service. So, ānukūlyasya saṅkalpaḥ, prātikūlyasya varjanam, rakṣiṣyatīti viśvāso,
rakṣiṣyatīti viśvāso,
goptṛtve varaṇaṁ tathā,
goptṛtve varaṇaṁ tathā,
ātma-nikṣepa-kārpaṇye,
ātma-nikṣepa-kārpaṇye,
ṣaḍ-vidhā śaraṇāgatiḥ.
śaraṇāgatiḥ.
Now, what should we do? Should we have some of you chant it too? Or should we go?
Word for word.
Word for word. Okay. I'll just read it myself. You can read along. ānukūlyasya, of anything that assists devotional service to the Lord. saṅkalpaḥ, acceptance. prātikūlyasya, of anything that hinders devotional service. varjanam, complete rejection. rakṣiṣyatīti, he will protect. Iti, thus. viśvāso, strong conviction. goptṛtve, in being the guardian, like the father or husband, master or maintainer. varaṇaṁ, acceptance. Oh, sorry. Okay, tathā, as well as. ātma-nikṣepa, full self-surrender. kārpaṇye, and humility. ṣaḍ-vidhā, sixfold. śaraṇāgatiḥ, process of surrender. And of course, this is a verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, I believe. The six divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Kṛṣṇa will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. Purport. One who is fully surrendered is qualified with the 6 following characteristics. 1, the devotee has to accept everything that is favorable for the rendering of transcendental loving service to the Lord. 2, he must reject everything unfavorable to the Lord's service. This is also called renunciation. 3, a devotee must be firmly convinced that Kṛṣṇa will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection, and being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. A devotee wants to remain always in the Lord's service. In this way, Kṛṣṇa is merciful to his devotee and gives him all protection from the dangers found on the path of devotional service. 4, the devotee should accept Kṛṣṇa as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Kṛṣṇa, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the 3 worlds he has no protector or maintainer other than Kṛṣṇa. 5, self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Kṛṣṇa, and he acts and thinks as Kṛṣṇa desires. And finally, 6, the devotee is meek and humble. Lord Kṛṣṇa states in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham vidisannivishto mattaksmatiya jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvarahameva vedyo vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham. Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas, close quote. Situated in everyone's heart, Kṛṣṇa deals differently according to the living entity's position. The living entity's position is to be under the protection of the illusory energy or under Kṛṣṇa's personal protection. When the living entity is fully surrendered, he is under the direct protection of Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa gives him all intelligence by which he can advance in spiritual realization. The non-devotee, however, being under the protection of the illusory energy, increasingly forgets his relationship with Kṛṣṇa. Sometimes it is asked how Kṛṣṇa causes one to forget. Kṛṣṇa personally causes his devotee to forget material activities, and through the agency of Maya, Kṛṣṇa causes the devotee to forget his devotional service to the Lord. This is called apohana. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandjana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak on this very important verse. And what was brought to mind is the nectar of instruction, also where we find these verses describing what's favorable and what's unfavorable. So we can refer to those. In the nectar of instruction, it begins with what's unfavorable. And so this, but here it begins with what's favorable, ānukūlyasya saṅkalpaḥ. And here you have the embedded in this verse is the understanding that in Lord Chaitanya's movement, there's no restriction. There's no prerequisite for who can take part or who can understand or enter on the path. Everyone is eligible, and it's up to us to respond according to our desire. So this brings up the essential nature or the essential prerequisite to have the association of devotees, to get the association of devotees. Now, in the modern age, that association, of course, the best is in personal association with a devotee who is sincere and who can inspire you to take up the process. But there's also all of these media, primarily books. When we go out and we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, we introduce people to the Bhagavad Gita or some other book, we're actually giving them the association of Srila Prabhupada, and Kṛṣṇa. In Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada makes it very clear that when we read Krishna's words, we're actually there. It's just as good as being there with Arjuna on the chariot in the battle of Kṛṣṇa, battlefield of Kṛṣṇa. So Krishna's there in his words. He's there through the words of his pure devotee, and of course, he's there in the holy name. So how does it work that one enters into this process of full surrender? Well, the first thing is that you're doing something that is favorable. ānukūlyasya saṅkalpaḥ. Full surrender means everything you do is favorable. But even if you just begin by taking a book and reading it, or coming to the temple, hearing kirtan, participating a little bit, it starts the process, and Kṛṣṇa within the heart can give you inspiration to increase your association, to read the book, and become inspired to take up the process. And that's why I always like to recite this verse, which Srila Prabhupada would often recite. This is also from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, and it's also from this section, the practice of devotional service. So this is the Sanskrit verse. I put it into a little poem. Kama dinang katina katita palita drunideshas tesham jata mayna karuna natrapano pashantihi utrijaitan hadiyodopate sampratam labdha buddhis tvamayata kshadanamabhayam mamneyum svatmadasye. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy, yet on I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Kṛṣṇa, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. So this is a very important verse because it reveals the attitude that someone who is embarking on devotional service and who has had some exposure to the philosophy and some association, as now is inspired because the intelligence has been purified to some degree by that association, by hearing, by reading, that you want to change the course of your life. But you feel the imprisonment of these unwanted desires that we've been cultivating since time immemorial. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, all these things that are within the heart. So this is the battle that every sincere sadhaka needs to go through, to actually begin practicing those things that are favorable, and so that we get the spiritual strength to give up the things that are unfavorable. That's why giving up the unfavorable is second. The first thing is to chant Hare Krishna, associate with devotees, take prasadam, and make that part of your life. Oftentimes it can't be the whole life. You're not ready to surrender completely or join the ashram, whatever. But it's an important and essential part of your life that is inspiring you, purifying your intelligence, so that you see, you realize there's a whole other way of living, and that is not just to serve the demands of the senses and the mind and go through all of the suffering that entails, but rather to dovetail the senses, the activities, and place the mind on Kṛṣṇa. So this is what ānukūlyasya saṅkalpaḥ means, that in the process of full surrender, it means that everything you're doing is favorable for Kṛṣṇa. That's a pure platform. But the beginner can begin to surrender by making at least part of his day time for purely Kṛṣṇa conscious things, and in this way becoming purified. So and what are the things that are favorable? Of course, beginning with chanting the holy name, associating with devotees, attending the temple functions, hearing sadhu sangha is most favorable. And Prabhupada's society is set up for that, with all the classes and, of course, the books and the other media that we have. So that tends to increase one's desire to advance in devotional service, increase one's desire to go back to Godhead. We hear about all the wonderful world and we read Kṛṣṇa book. And then we learn that, yes, you're going to have to give up those things which are unfavorable. And this is where people learn about the four regulative principles, and that's a challenge, you know. But we realize that that's an essential step in the process. And so those who are serious, who have been had good association, who are ready to take that step of giving up those four essential eating meat, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, you're very serious. Then you become serious, and Kṛṣṇa is seeing you, just like Prabhu is mentioning here. Kṛṣṇa is in our heart. He certainly wants us to come back to him. And that's why he comes down here. That's why he periodically comes, and he sends his emissaries, and he has his representatives, because he's concerned. He's ultimately the loving father of every living entity. And so we've made a bad mistake a long time ago by rejecting him, turning our back, as Krishna Buddhi say, Jivanari Bahirmukha, Nikatastamaya Jari Japadiyadari. That Prabhu quotes this verse often, that forgetting Krishna or desiring sense gratification, we turn away from Krishna, and Maya is right there to pull us down and drag us down into illusion and suffering. And that was our mistake long ago. But now, realizing that, we want to practice devotional service, and these 6 items of surrender are essential to know, and they're oftentimes things we need to strive for to fully qualify for each step. So, accepting things that are favorable, we know what those are, beginning with chanting Hare Krishna, and especially becoming serious. We can coordinate these 6 symptoms of 6 steps in surrender with those steps that those famous verses that Rupa Goswami wrote, the ladder from faith to love, from śraddha to prema. So that ādau śraddha taduk sadhu sangha to bhajana kriya. This is the first most favorable thing, is to have some faith, some preliminary faith that can induce us, that can draw us into associate with devotees. And best, as I mentioned, is, of course, personal association, coming to class and everything. But if one is far from a temple, and we know there's so many devotees and possible full-time devotees that are out there, and they can get on the internet and they can attend class that way, but somehow or other, to push the right buttons, so much of our destiny is which buttons we push on our phone and which ones we put on our computer, that they'll attend class. I've been giving these classes here in San Diego in the evening class, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for 30 years. And in the last 10, 12 years, they've been on YouTube. And I just got a letter today, somebody I never met before, and he was thanking me so much for the classes and like that, you know. And it's so gratifying to know that you can reach out to people like that, and it's having its effect. And so Srila Prabhupada was on fire to come and to give Krishna consciousness. When he came to America, and when you study his life, you realize that every moment of every day he spent glorifying Krishna. And from the 12 o'clock at night, he's getting up and he's writing his books, you know, dictating. And then when finally, you know, the morning would come, he would come for greeting the deities and give a class. And then he would meet with some professors or journalists, whatever, you know, and whatever he's doing, he's representing Lord Chaitanya, representing his spiritual master, the whole parampara. And just moments of association of someone of that caliber can change your whole life. I was reading ahead, I think in this section is Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Mata Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That association with sadhus, all the Shastra declare that even a moment's association can perfect one's life. Why? Because as Lord Chaitanya so eloquently puts it in his teachings to Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmadikom Bhagyavan Jeev, that we've been wandering up and down the universe in different species and everything since time immemorial. But the fortunate soul who encounters a pure devotee and is ready to receive the seed of the creeper of bhakti can then water that seed by the process of hearing and chanting, etc., and cultivate that creeper that will eventually produce the fruit of pure love of Godhead. So all of us are fortunate souls. We're so fortunate because we met the pure devotee directly or through media, and been inspired to take up the process of devotional service. So this book that Prabhu, produced, I had the great opportunity to be part of that marathon in 1975, in which the remaining 14 volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita were published in 2 months, along with 2 volumes of the fifth canto. So as we were working on it, I just felt I was, what did I do to deserve this? I've actually worked on the Anjal Leela. I'm sitting there 2 years in the movement working on these most intimate pastimes. But it's so gratifying to know that I had a little bit to do with helping to spread, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and serve Prabhupada in that way. So this is the great wealth of ISKCON, is so many opportunities for service, so many opportunities to be Krishna's representative, Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada's representatives, our Gurudev, in bringing other people to Krishna consciousness, or helping those who are in Krishna consciousness to maintain their enthusiasm and to advance and to become further representatives to help others. So this is what ISKCON is all about. It's the 2 tracks. It's just I like to compare it to the 2 tracks that Lord Chaitanya showed. He had the internal and the external reason for appearing, right? And the external reason was to spread the Sankirtan movement, as far and wide in India, and give that prediction, which serves as an inspiration, that my name will be chanted in every town and village. And Prabhupada took that inspiration and his Gurudev's order, and heroically, courageously, amazingly got on the boat at age 69, Jaladuta. It wasn't a yacht. It wasn't a Queen Mary or anything. It was a boat that just carries goods, and somehow we made it to America. Very difficult, 2 heart attacks, as you know the story. And even in America, so difficult that first year. He made hardly any traction, any progress. But then Kṛṣṇa, brought him down to the area, and he came to the Bowery and finally 26 Second Avenue. And you all know the story. But all the time he was doing the same thing. He was simply repeating the message as he heard it, and giving his own association, chanting Hare Krishna with the deepest devotion and love. And there were some receptive ears and hearts that heard him, and they in turn became purified, and then could help him carry out the mission, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And we're still doing that in this age, and ISKCON will always be like that. So the first one is accepting things that are favorable, and this is what the society Krishna consciousness is all about. But also there's that necessity of giving the things up that are unfavorable, and we can see why, because these unfavorable things, specifically just the 4 most sinful activities, they completely take one's mind away and put one in the mood of competing with Krishna, trying to enjoy the senses. And so it's so important to embrace those. And I always go back to this. Of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have so much instruction like that at the end of the 3rd chapter. What does Arjuna ask? It says, oh, Krishna, what is it that impels us seemingly by force to do things that we know are bad for us? That in other words, the lower self overcomes the higher self. And of course, the answer is kama. It is lust, the eternal enemy, never satisfied, burns like fire, like that. So the basic message there is that you have to have the higher self control the lower self. And what is that higher self? Your purified intelligence. And it comes back to that verse I chanted. When my intelligence now has been awoken, and so you're ready to pray, as Prabhupada says, the Hare Krishna mantra is really a prayer. Please engage me in your service. And along with that part of that prayer is, please give me the strength to control the lower self by the higher self so that I can engage all of my facilities in your service. That's the understanding. And Kṛṣṇa will do that. He's within our heart. He can give us that inspiration and give us that strength when he sees our sincerity. So that's the most encouraging thing about the philosophy, and that Kṛṣṇa is always with us. He wants us to succeed. He's willing and able to empower us. It's just up to us to sincerely want that and to pray for that and to use all our strength to control the lower urges, especially at the beginning when there's so many things that pulling us away, memories, and to focus the mind on the holy name and on our task at hand, and to take advantage of this wonderful association. And that's why I also come back to the instructions of Kapila to his mother. At the beginning of his instructions, there are 8 verses, which I call ṣaḍu-vidhā, 8 verses describing the essential importance of association with sadhus, because the whole thing culminates in satam prasangan mama viśvāso. That's within those 8 verses, a very famous verse. And it's all part of the same dynamic, is that if you associate with sadhus, you'll get their blessings, and the blessing is to become like them, to hear. That's if you're really associating, and this word prasanga is so significant. The ashra begins with that word because the word has several meanings. Just as sangha can mean association or it can mean attachment, right? So the first word of the first verse, it means attachment. Prasangam madhanam pasham ātma-nikṣepa-kārpaṇye saheva sāra shukrato moksha dvaram apāvatam. Such an important verse. I put it into a poem. Mundane affection keeps us tied to birth and death infernal, but love for sadhus opens wide the doors to life eternal. And if you think about it, when we come to Mangalartik, and then we also later attend the Guru Puja, those 2 songs, the Guru Vashtaka and Narottam Das's song to the Guru, they both have this principle, which is that yasya prasada, yasya prasada bhagavat prasada yasya prasada nagati kutopi. That the mercy of the spiritual master allows us to get Kṛṣṇa's mercy. We get Kṛṣṇa's mercy. But if we don't get that, yasya prasada nagati kutopi, there's no gati. Gati can mean the goal or the means to the goal. There's no means if we are bereft of that mercy. So the first step, of course, is finding a guru, initiating guru or instructing guru. They're both of them very important. And pleasing them by obeying their orders, suggestions, and so forth. And then you can get Kṛṣṇa's mercy. And notice in the song to the spiritual master we sing, the Guru Puja song, it says, Guru Mukha Padma Bhakachita Tekariya Aika Arna Kadiya Mone Ashe Shri Guru Chadana Rati E Se Utamagati Ye Pasara Surava Asha. That one should make the words of one's spiritual master one with one's heart, you see, and not desire any of the words, right? Shri Guru Chadana Rati, the affection, the attachment to the lotus feet of the Guru is the ultimate gati. And it can be understood to be the ultimate goal, or really the ultimate means to the goal. When you think about how Prabhupada started this movement, really, who knew anything? Of course, they had the books, the first set of books that they were reading, but they were getting Prabhupada's classes. But really, it was the devotees' affection for Srila Prabhupada, their appreciation for what he was giving them, because they were chanting and they were getting the prasadam, and they wanted to serve him. Bhakta Steve became Satsuru Maharaj. He was giving his paycheck, as was Brahmananda. They were both working for the city, so to sustain things. So that's really an essential factor, is the affection and appreciation and sense of gratitude to your authority who is asking you to do something that's not so easy to do. Give up your material desires and all the things that we need to do. So the process of surrender is very much tied in with your sense of obligation and gratitude to what you've been given by the spiritual master. And then he's asking you to do something difficult, give this up, give this up. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pray to Kṛṣṇa for the strength. And of course, that getting the higher taste is essential here. And that's Kṛṣṇa's mercy. I remember when I first read that verse in the second chapter, and because I was fortunate enough, I had been chanting before I joined, and I was very happy to be among the devotees and going out on varaṇaṁ. And viśvāso vartante nidahara siddhena rasa varjam rasopyasya padam drishvana vartate. That by force of will, one can give up the objects of the senses, you see, but the taste still remains. This is why people are so much overweight. They may be on their third diet, but they went to some fat farm, they used to call them, where you get preaching all the time, and the food is not rich, so you're automatically fat, dieting. But then when you get home, you have to be able to continue it. And unfortunately, the desires are still in there in your heart, and eventually you fall off the wagon, and that works for everything, alcohol, whatever you're trying to quit, But if you get direct experience, directly seeing the param, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the attraction of Kṛṣṇa, then you can remain fixed in renunciation. You get the higher taste, and the lower taste no longer appeals to you. Yadavadi Mamacheta Kṛṣṇa is like Yamunacharya. He was a king, he was an emperor, he had all opportunity to have illicit sex. But then when he again became Yamunacharya, would he be? And even when I think of those experiences, my lips turn into stasis and I spit at the thought. You see? So the taste isn't even there anymore. And that's Kṛṣṇa's blessing. When you're drinking the nectar of Kṛṣṇa consciousness at every step, there's no question of sense gratification. There's no question of even, harboring it. It's just like a bad dream from your previous life. So that's what surrender brings you to. So first is accepting these things favorable, which gives you the strength to give up those things which are unfavorable. And then it comes even a bigger step, rakṣiṣyatīti viśvāso, to be confident in Kṛṣṇa's protection. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to die. And also, we've had devotees sometimes die in accidents, in plane accidents, and so forth. That's part of it. That Kṛṣṇa will protect you against things that, you have a close call. I remember I had several close calls while driving, and I wasn't hurt. But it mostly means that he's going to protect your consciousness, so that when an accident happens or when you're actually dying, he's going to be there to help you remember him. That's the big thing. But the main idea is not to try to get all kinds of other things out of to trying to protect yourself. Yes, we have to live properly and take care of our health and so forth. That's understood. But we can take that also as Kṛṣṇa's protection. He's inspiring us to do that and giving us a facility to do that. But mostly it means that if we're sincere, that he'll give us a situation that we can remember him at the time of death. Because I have fairly good at kirtan, I've been asked at least a half a dozen times or more over the course of these years to be present at devotees' bedside when they're leaving and singing the holy name. And I've seen how auspicious that is, that so many there, because I used to work in a hospital and I saw ordinary people die. I was working as an inhalation therapist. And it's such a painful thing. Mostly they sedate them because they're freaking out, and they don't know what's going to happen, and they're seeing the Yamadutas or whatever, And so they're not conscious, which is the most inauspicious thing. But devotees, we always want to be fully conscious at that time and thinking of Kṛṣṇa fully. And there have been so many successful departures. And you can see it in the faces that there isn't great agony and fear, but there's Krishna's appearing that to them. So this is really the final exam, and that's most important protection that Krishna gives. And then the maintenance, that's another thing. Those of you, if you join the ashram, I remember I had a job and a car and everything in an apartment before I joined. So I packed everything up. The car I gave back to my father. He was loaning it to me. But I had a little savings bank, which I had like 1,500, which back in 1973 was probably worth 4 times, at least 4 or 5 times now. And so I just gave it to the temple because I could see it was such a, you're getting everything you need and your prasadam is there, and I had the faith. And that was very liberating. And because Krishna, will maintain. This is the thing. Prabhupada brings that up all the time, that if we rely on Krishna, he'll maintain us. Otherwise, constantly worried, can I pay the rent? Can I do this? And, you try to be separate from Krishna, and it's very difficult. So that fully confident Krishna will maintain and Krishna will protect. And then the last two, ātma-nikṣepa, is like, again, full surrender. So it means, I think, to feel at every moment that one is simply, the meaning of his life is simply to serve Krishna. At every moment to think, is what I'm doing now actually within devotional service? Is this a duty I'm meant to support? I remember I read one verse. It's in the 11th canto. The 9 Yogendras are speaking. And it's just like this. Kayena bacha manasindriyava buddhyapnava anusatavabhad kadoti yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanati samarpayetat. Whatever one does with one's body, with one's voice, with one's mind, with one's senses, with whatever else you have, to always feel, I'm doing this as an offering to Narayan. I'm doing this as a service to Krishna. I'm walking from point A to point B. So I'm doing this because I have a mission for Krishna. You see, I may be walking to my job because I have to maintain the family and we're worshiping Krishna. I'm raising my kids in Krishna kindness. That can also be part of it. But the point is, it's a moment-to-moment thing. Is that you're really feeling yourself, that your life force is fully engaged in Krishna's service. And this is what we saw with Srila Prabhupada. He would, when he lifted the phone to talk on it, you could see that it was a devotional act. Just way, okay, who's there? No, it's part of part of his constant, service to Krishna, completely within, the realm of pure devotional service. So that's, and always remain humble, because that false ego is always waiting to take over again, that we have some independence, but really to feel constantly dependent on Krishna, and to feel, that humility culminates, what do we know? Trinada bisunichena torapi sahishnana, amanina manadena kirtani eksadahari. Again, forgive me, I put it into a poem, I'll give you that. Is more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to think all praise belongs to others, none belongs to me. Such qualities attract the Lord to bless one with the power to chant his name incessantly until the final hour. So we just had the disappearance day of Haridas Thakur in the Namacharya, and we can, there's a wonderful chapter there in the Antya Leela describing just his disappearance. And it's not an accident that it was 108 verses. This is Krishna Kavara's way of making it even more impressive. But you could see that he had no false pride. When Lord Chaitanya came to ask him, what's wrong? Are you okay? No, my mind and body are okay. But I'm not be able to chant my rounds, and so I'm very disturbed by that. Lord Chaitanya tried to encourage him, said, you don't have to worry about that. You've already perfected, you can decrease the number of rounds. No, you just know that, I'm so fallen. I was born in a low family like that. So that utter humility, which induces one to constantly call out to Krishna in a helpless mood. Prabhupada was once asked, he was in front of the deities, I think it was Krishna Balaram temple, maybe in England. But he looked, like he was sincerely praying. And a devotee asked him, Prabhupada, what are you praying for? He says, I'm praying that I don't fall down. said, Prabhu, you're a pure devotee. You can't fall down. I know, because I'm always praying. If you're actually in that prayerful mood, feeling dependent on Krishna at every moment, and you really are praying sincerely that you'll get more taste for the holy name, that you'll be able to fulfill your duties, and that you can avoid Maya, then Krishna will protect you. You'll always be protected, because you'll always be ardently thinking of Krishna and feeling dependent on him. So that's the one. This is such a wonderful verse, and it describes these different levels of different elements of surrender, and we can see which ones we're not so strong on, and work on those, and try to attain all of these, and make them a part of our meditation and aspiration, so that we can advance in devotional service, because it all depends on the level of our surrender. The pure devotees, they're 100% surrendered. Every breath, every word is always for glorification of Krishna in the service, and they serve as great examples to emulate. But these verses and this instruction is given in by Rupa Goswami and here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's essential to strengthen our intelligence by learning these. And I'll just put in a plug for memorizing verses. That may be difficult, but it's Prabhupada wanted us to do that. That's why he took so much trouble to give us the word-by-word meanings and the transliterations, of course, and the actual translation and purport. But you find other translations, and often they don't bother with the transliteration, what to speak of the word for word. For me, the transliteration doesn't help unless you have the word for word, if you really want to get into it. But why did Prabhupada do that? Because he wanted us to memorize, and he in his lectures, he often somebody quotes these verses, and it helps in our presentation. It helps in our meditation and in our remembrance of Krishna. Recently, over the years, I remembered so many verses, and some of them haven't used in some time, but I came across a verse. It's such a wonderful verse by Uddhava. It's in the middle of the Uddhava Gita, and he's praying, as they often do, in these long discourses. Please go on, So Uddhava is utterly, and like so many of the acharyas, the Prahlad and everything, taking the role of a conditioned soul, so giving us a model for how we can pray. So some of you may know this verse. Dashtam janam sam patitam bilesmin kalahina chuddha sukoru tarsham samudharayam kripaya pavargaya vitobadasin shamahanabhata. So Dashtam is bitten. Said, my dear Lord, I have fallen into this deep, dark hole of the material world, bile, which is like a snake hole, Dashtam janam sampaditam, completely fallen. And I'm being bitten by the snake of time, kalahina. And yet, chuddha sukoru tarsham, I am maintaining a very strong desire for insignificant sense gratification. Chudra sukha means fleeting, tarsha, a very great thirst for that. So this is my situation. So please, samudharayanam, please lift me up out of this hole. And how? By kripaya pavargaya vachobir asincha, by sprinkling your merciful words upon me that bring about liberation. Kripaya pavargaya vachobir asincha mahanubhava, oh great Lord. He's saying like this. So this is a great prayer that we can also relate to. I can certainly relate to that. And this is what we've been given. Krishna has responded by giving Prabhupada, giving all the books, all of this access to pure expression, the greatest books in the universe, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhakti-samrita Sindhu, all the books of Srila Prabhupada and his followers are now also producing. And so we have this great opportunity. It's like, I take a walk every day, a japa walk, which is really helping me maintain my health. And the first thing I pass is this little bodega, this little place. And there's a big sign outside, play the lottery, the LA lottery. And you look, they have the changing numbers you can win, and now they're outrageous, $300 million. It went up over $1 billion one time. And I can see how someone, ordinary people, all right, you're ready to give my $2. Of course, we never do that. But I'm saying we have already won the lottery. We're human beings. We're practically contemporaries of Lord Chaitanya. 500 years is nothing when you think, how often does Krishna appear on this world? Once in a 24-hour period of Brahma, which is 8,640,000,000 years. And here he disappeared 5,000 years ago. That's like a blink of an eye compared to this. So he appeared and then he came again as Lord Chaitanya, just 550 or 35 years ago, whatever it is now. And so, and most importantly, we've been introduced and we're interested in practicing, and we've been practicing, and we want to go back to Godhead. So we should be very appreciative of how fortunate we are. Of course, some, previous life, Lord Prabhu said of his first disciples, "You all been sent to me by Bhaktisiddhanta." But whatever it is, we should appreciate that. And there's so many verses like that, of how don't waste this human form of life. Labdvasu durlabamidam bahusam bhavante. Manushamarta tamanichmapiha dira. Turnam yatedana patedana vityayama ānukūlyasya which is, you have attained this human form of life, which is very difficult to attain. Sudurlamin, after many, many births, bahusam bhavante. Manusham, human form. Artadam, which gives the ultimate goal in life, artadam. But like all forms, it's anityam, it's temporary. So one has to be dira, very thoughtful. And turnam means immediately, without wasting time. Don't put it off to tomorrow. Turnam yateta, strive. As long as you haven't died yet, and this anumrityu, death is always on your shoulder. It can happen at any moment, so don't waste any time. Strive for what? Nikṣeyasa, the ultimate good, which is pure devotion to Kṛṣṇa. Because after all, in all these other forms we've been in, we've experienced every form of sense gratification. Viśvāso. By the way, I made a mistake when I began this class. I forgot to ask how long it's supposed to go. So I need a clue about, because I don't see any of you, and I'm not sure what the ending time is. So Vijay, give me a hint.
Yeah. Ask the questions. Maybe end it in 10 minutes.
Okay. So should you ask questions now? I didn't get that. I got that. Okay, but I also want to give you a little poem, so we'll leave time for that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Try with the questions. See what happens.
All right. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have one small question for you, Dravida Prabhu.
Sure.
Prabhu, you gave a series of classes in Chicago 8 years ago on the 6 limbs of surrender. I humbly request you to give us a seminar delving deeper into each of these 6 limbs over multiple classes and grace our ISV BYS with that. Just a humble request. Would that be possible, Prabhu?
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll resurrect because we always had a presentation slideshow. So I have, if I did it, I vaguely remember that, but I'm sure I recorded. If I have it on my computer, and I'll review that. And is that okay? Because we can do it another day. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, bro. Over multiple classes, yes, bro.
Yeah, sure. I'll share that with you. And I'll even send you the slideshow. You could never just do it yourself. But I want not only that, I'll also, because I'll benefit greatly from that also. That was a great time. Brahmapad Maharaj, for years, I went up there every year around Christmas time, New Year's. And we did, I think I suggested the topic, the varjanam, a prayer. And I did that up in LA recently. I think, but it's that was very illuminating, and his presentations are always fantastic. But all right, I'd be happy to do that over time. I live for this. What else am I going to do?
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
All right, you ready for my little poem?
Yeah.
Okay. You've heard all these, Vijay, so if you want, you can go do something else. So this is what I wrote called The Fall and Redemption of the Soul. And it's just based on Prabhupada's teachings. There's no Sanskrit behind it. Where Kṛṣṇa lives, felicity abounds. With pure simplicity and loving sensibility, all serve him with humility. But when a living entity rejects his true identity and out of sheer stupidity surrenders to cupidity, he loses all sagacity and with it all capacity to understand reality or curb his sensuality. Abandoning humility, he touts his own ability, forgetting his fragility and fortune's volatility. Immersed in asininity for what seems an infinity of live devoted piety, he suffers in anxiety till contact with God's devotee, perhaps of utmost brevity, awakens his affinity for words of the divinity. Receiving the futility of all his imbecility, the soul regains his sanity and casts away his vanity. Endowed with new humility, he serves with all ability and growing spontaneity his guru and deity. Regaining his identity, the wayward living entity returns to the fraternity of Kṛṣṇa for eternity. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry? Could you repeat that? I don't know, there's something about the audio. I'm not hearing anything now.
No, we're clapping.
Oh, clapping. Okay, clapping. All right, here's one more. Many of you may be familiar with this. The Sri Kevalashtaka about the holy name, 8 verses about the holy name. I don't know if you're aware of that. This is a poem, but we thought was anonymous. No one knew who wrote it until a few years ago. By research, they found that it had been written by an associate of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, not a disciple, but a respected associate named Nilakanta Goswami. And it turns out, and you can always tell, when there's no 9th verse, the Palashruti, that he wrote 100 verses of these, and someone picked out 8. It may have been Bhaktivinoda Thakur who picked out his favorite 8, because that's become known as Kevalashtaka. So I'll give you one of the first in Sanskrit, then I'll just do all the English. So the first verse is Madaram Madadebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harir Namaiva Kevalam. And of course, that last line is from the famous verse. Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's the perfect paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. From Brahma's realm atop the sky, down to the lowly grass, illusion reigns in Maya Devi's treacherous morass. The truth, the only truth, the name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. He's the guru, he's the father, he's the friend most true. And she's the real mother who most kindly teaches you to always chant and hear the holy name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if you're old or sick or in your youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Lord Shri Hari forever dwells wherever devotees whose hearts are fixed on him and free of all impurities uplift their voices high and sing his name in ecstasy. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Alas, what sorrow, what great pain, the worst calamity for people to forget the holy name of Shri Hari. Although the name's a priceless gem, mere broken glass they see. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Just fill your ears, just fill them with the name of Shri Hari. Just chant the name with all sincerity. Just sing the name, just sing the holy name eternally. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. It makes this world appear like bits of straw upon the ground. Resplendently it reigns supreme, divinity in sound. It's filled with transcendental bliss and peerless purity. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Inspired to glorify the holy name of Shri Hari, Sri Nilakanta wrote this hymn in Sanskrit poetry. I pray that those who hear this lowly version made by me will chant the holy name of Shri Hari in ecstasy. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
So, Vijay, you have my poetry file, no?
I don't think so.
All right, I'll send you the poetry file. I have a whole PDF of various poems, some about Prabhupada. Like here's a real quick one about Prabhupada. I wrote on Vyasa Puja a few years ago. O Prabhupada, we hail the day when you appear just like a ray of Krishna's vast effulgence bright to give this blind will back its sight. We thank you from the bottom of our heart and pray with deepest love that we may serve your lotus feet in every circumstance we meet. As years go by and books go out, we see what life is all about. To serve your mission and our Lord's by spreading wide your sacred words. As well, you want us all to strive to let those words direct our lives. This safest path will lead us home, no more in Maya's realm to roam. Hare Krishna. It's like, that's the mission statement of the BBT. I think they have it on the wall there in offices down in LA. Anyway, thank you for listening. And we'll plan again to do something with these 6. I'll look up that old slideshow I had, and we'll pursue more. Whatever I can do in service to Vijay and the devotees in ISV, I'm going to try to do it, because you guys are like inspiring the whole world in book distribution. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Vijay, all glorious devotees. Thank you.